That's 877-850-8585.
Good morning.
Now here's your host, Attorney Jeff Vastola.
Well, good morning, everybody, and thank you so much for tuning into the show. I am Attorney Jeff Vastola, and I am here this morning to answer your questions, legal issues, for free. This is Vastola on the Law. It's 30 minutes of free legal advice, and that's exactly what we do here. You can ask me anything you want. If I know the answer, I'll give it to you right now. If I don't know the answer, then I will do the research and get back to you the following week. This show is airing on 8:50 a.m., the radio station, and simultaneously it is airing on Facebook Live. So if you are a Facebook friend of mine, you should be getting some kind of a pop-up window to say that I'm now live. But if you're not a friend of mine and you'd like to watch me on Facebook Live, then send me a friend request. And if you're not of that generation like my daughter who says that Facebook is for old people, then I will happily accept your friend request, and you can watch me on Facebook Live, and you can type in comments and questions and hellos and good mornings, and it's a lot of fun. It's very interactive. So welcome to the show. If you're wondering, because you're listening to the radio, how do you call into the station? The number is 877-850-8585. That's the number to call into the station. Just mind your P's and Q's. We don't want to hear the names of the people that are making you angry, because I don't want to get emails from those people. I want to thank everybody that came to our free legal seminar this past week. On Tuesday, I did the first ever Vastola free legal seminar, and it was at the Embassy Suites Hotel in Palm Beach Gardens, and we had fantastic presenters. I want to give another shout out to my presenters, Chris Banker, Anne Desormier Cartwright, and Dr. Wayne Palmer. If any of you ever need anything in those industries, feel free to call me and ask me what it is they do, and I'll be happy to push you along to them. But they did a great job with the information that they disseminated at the seminar. So again, thank you. So I am Jeff Vastola. I'm an attorney, and Monday through Friday what I do are claims involving personal injury, wrongful death, and those can emanate from any kind of an incident. Most common, probably car accidents, a slip and fall, but they can be medical mistakes, they can be product liability, product failures, boating accidents. I've even represented people in train accidents before. So if you have something to talk to me about, or if you know somebody, then call 833-VASTOLA. That's a toll-free number that forwards to my cell phone 24/7. So you have direct access to me, not my staff, but direct access to me, to ask me anything you want. You're not obligated to hire me just because you're dialing the number. I'm here as a resource so I can answer questions for you. 833-VASTOLA, that's 833-827-8652. We have offices in Palm Beach Gardens, an office in Stewart, and we now have an office down in the Keys, in Tavernier. And let me put this out to you. If anybody listening knows of anybody that lives in the Keys and wants a job, tell me. I have a job posting for that office we opened in Tavernier for a paralegal that has been posted for almost a month now, and I can't get anybody to respond. Nobody in the Keys wants to work, apparently, or at least nobody wants to be a paralegal in the Keys. That's not entirely true. I've had 2 responses, but apparently what they want to be paid in the Keys is not what we can afford to pay. But anybody interested in applying for that job, please do, because I'm currently interviewing, looking to fill a position down in the Keys. I have had, this is no joke, I've had 2 responses from Texas, from people that have told me that they are willing to relocate, which is not surprising to me. Well, welcome to the show. This is Vastola on the Law. If you want to call in, if you want to be live on the air with me, the number is 877-850-8585. I encourage you to call me while I'm talking. I want you to interrupt me. I have topics planned for today. I'm going to be talking about small claims court, basically the basics, small claims 101. And then I'm going to be talking about, if I have the time, some cases from my Florida Law Weeklies, which are exactly what it says it is. It's the cases that are published every week through the appellate courts and cases throughout the state of Florida. I should remind everybody, I'm only licensed in the state of Florida, so I can only give you legal advice in the state of Florida. Good morning, my beautiful mom watching from Tennessee. Good morning. So let's talk about small claims court. And one of the things that I want to do right away is I want to correct myself, because for the last several months I've been talking about how the Florida legislature, or maybe it was the Supreme Court, I'm not sure, I think it was the legislature, recently changed the the barrier to small claims court. It used to be forever and ever and ever, all the while I've been a lawyer, that small claims court handled only issues up to $5,000. So if your dispute was something in excess of $5,000, now you could file in small claims court if you wanted to, but your recovery was going to be limited to $5,000. So if you had a $8,000 claim and you wanted to forfeit those $3,000 for the convenience and the ease of small claims court, you could do that. Just understand that your recovery would be capped at $5,000. And I've been telling everybody since January that the minimum amount was raised to $7,500. Well, as I was researching this issue for this topic today, I came across an article, and it's the website of the Florida courts. It's floridacourts.org, and it says that the jurisdictional amount is $8,000. So for some reason, after they published notices that they were going to increase the jurisdictional amounts to $7,500, they bumped it up another $500, and so now small claims jurisdiction is anything from 1 penny to $8,000. Now that's inclusive of costs and interest and attorney's fees. So keep that in mind that if you have a claim for $8,000 and you say this is perfect because small claims court has jurisdiction up to $8,000, and that's exactly what Joe Schmo owes me because he breached this contract. Oh, and by the way, within the contract there's an attorney's fee provision, so not only is he going to have to pay me the $8,000, but he's also going to have to pay me my attorney's fees on top of that. Well, think again, because the jurisdictional limitations are inclusive, according to this site that I'm looking at, of attorney's fees. So, and keep in mind that attorney's fees, really no matter what the amount of the dispute may be, especially when a dispute amount is small, will oftentimes eclipse the amount in dispute because the attorney's fees can add up very quickly. So anyway, I wanted to give you all the basics of small claims because it came up this week, and that's typically how I come up with my topic for the show, is what has come up during my work week that I think other people might be interested in or might benefit from, and this is one of those topics. So small claims court as a jurisdiction in the court system that's, in its most simplistic explanation, is geared for people that don't want to use a lawyer. All right, you can represent yourself what's called pro se, Latin terminology for you're representing yourself. Now, that's not to say that you can't represent yourself in county court, which is the jurisdiction above the small claims. It's a little bit of a misnomer because the county court judges are actually the sitting small claims court judges, but it's just a monetary amount that separates small claims from the next jurisdiction up, which is county court. And then the level above county court, which is the final level, is circuit civil. That's the circuit civil division goes from, I think they raised the jurisdictional limitations. I'll have to check on that just to be sure. But it's something like $30,000 now, all the way up to gazillions. You know, there's nothing beyond circuit civil as far as a monetary jurisdiction. But the court system specifically has geared small claims court so that you don't have to have a lawyer. You don't really need to have a lawyer. If you try to represent yourself in county court or in circuit civil court, and if you don't have a legal background, the judges will oftentimes ask more than once, are you sure you want to do this? There's old cliches out there about, you know, representing yourself in court. If you're, you know, even if you are a lawyer, there's cliches about representing yourself. It's just not a good idea. And if you don't have legal training, it's a really bad idea. So what the courts tried to do is they tried to, you know, make it so that if you have a small amount in dispute, then the parties don't have to go out and hire lawyers, which is going to make the matter that much worse, because the losing side is going to be really penalized with the amount of attorney's fees that can add up, as I mentioned a moment ago. Now keep in mind, as a caveat, there is an obligation to use a lawyer in county division, which is above small claims, and in circuit civil, if the defendant is a corporation. The law in Florida is that a corporation cannot defend itself, meaning the officers, directors, you know, president of the company, whatever it may be, cannot come in to represent a corporate defendant. Now, that's not necessarily true if the officer of a corporation is an attorney, and if that attorney has been officially retained by the corporation to defend the corporation. It's just that a corporate defendant needs to be represented by legal counsel. So, the small claims court jurisdiction has also been created to be more expeditious than the county court jurisdictions and the circuit civil divisions, because those divisions are painfully slow. And it's only gotten worse because of COVID, and there's really nothing that we can do about it. I have to have this discussion with my clients all the time. Look, I will keep my foot on the gas. I will do everything that I can to move your case along as fast as I can, but understand that there are so many cases log jammed into the court system right now that it's just a very delayed process. And for the most part, the entire state of Florida did not have a civil jury trial for an entire year. For the entire year of 2020, while we were all dealing with COVID, the court system essentially shut down. Now, that's not to say that they weren't having criminal trials and things like that, because criminal defendants still had a right to speedy trial, and I know that the court systems were doing their best to, accommodate constitutional obligations to criminal defendants. But the civil side of the courthouse basically shut down. It got to the point where judges, started having some hearings, and everything was being done by Zoom. The first
Mark
jury
from
trial,
Jupiter.
okay, thank you, that I'm aware of was actually friends of mine in Martin County, and that was back in November. Let's talk to Mark from Jupiter. Good morning, Mark.
Hello.
Hello, Mark. You're live on the air. What can I do for
Well,
you?
I can't, yeah, okay. My name is Mark. I'm from Jupiter. I have a question regarding auto insurance.
Okay.
I have an insurance policy with $250, $500 coverage. My 22-year-old daughter got in an accident and is being sued by one of the 3-4 people that she hit. I got a letter from the insurance company that says that they received a demand letter from the attorney's office stating that they're willing to settle for the maximum or $250,000 if they settle right away. Now, I'm not sure whether I need to hire an attorney or whether the attorney of the issuing insurance companies sufficient. Not quite sure. It says I'm liable for any amount in excess of $250,000. I'm not sure what to do.
Right. Well, Mark, I'm going to give you some very general legal advice, and then what I would ask you to do is call me privately so we can talk about the specifics of the case, because we don't necessarily want to discuss those things on the radio. But generally speaking, your insurance policy is a contract, and it obligates the insurance company to pay potentially up to the amount of the coverage that you've paid for through your premium. Anything over and above that is awarded to the plaintiff because of the negligence of you or any driver on the policy is your personal obligation. And that's one of the reasons why I talk about insurance all the time on this show and how important it is, because you don't realize how important it is until something like this happens and you say, wait a minute, my daughter caused an accident. It wasn't even me. My daughter caused an accident. Apparently there's at least 3 people involved, and you may be exposed to financial damages well above your $250,000, $500,000 in coverage. What I would recommend that you do is speak with an attorney, and it can be me. Now, I'm not a defense attorney, but I'm happy to give you some guidance, Mark, on what you should do. But essentially what the recommendation is going to be is to hire an attorney of your own to look over the shoulder of the insurance company and the adjuster to make sure that the decisions that are being made are in your best interest. Because sometimes when insurance companies are put in a position of deciding if they want to spend their money or not, they don't always make the right decision. And sometimes you need an attorney in your corner to say, hey, this claim easily exceeds $250,000. We've got a very limited window to pay it so that you will get a release, which means you will never be sued by this particular claimant. But your insurance company is saying, we don't want to pay it. We'll pay $200,000, but we don't want to pay the $250,000. Well, that's going to put you at risk of being sued. And so if you have an attorney in your corner, that attorney can put pressure on the insurance company to say, look, the facts of this case are clear. You need to part with your money and you need to pay the claim. If factually that's what's going on. Again, that's all hypothetical because I don't know anything about the accident. But you oftentimes do need a lawyer in your corner to look over your shoulder, okay? To look over the shoulder of the insurance company. You with me, Mark?
Okay,
Yeah.
great.
So the number, Mark, for you to call, just, you can call me anytime over the weekend. It's 833 Vastola. That's 833-827-8652. And as I mentioned, I'm not the lawyer for you. I don't do the defense side of things, but I'll certainly make a recommendation for an attorney for you to contact to, hopefully get all your ducks in a row.
Okay.
All right. By the way, great policy.
I appreciate the help.
Let me give you one last tidbit of information. The $250,000, $500,000 policy is a fantastic policy, and I don't make recommendations that you change that. But if you don't have an umbrella policy on top of that, you really ought to consider getting one, because you can get, Mark, an additional $1 million of coverage to protect yourself and your assets. If your daughter were to cause another accident, you can get $1 million. The annual premium is like $400. Okay, so if you haven't already been made aware of that, folks that have good insurance, good underlying insurance, which you do have, qualify to get these umbrella policies. Now, if you have a minimal coverage insurance like $10,000, $20,000, you're not going to qualify for the umbrella. The umbrella requires that you have strong insurance underlying. But Mark, if you don't have an umbrella, I really, really strongly recommend you get one, because for $400 a year, I mean, you can't go wrong. Okay?
Okay.
We'll talk about that when you call me. I'll put you in touch with my agent.
Okay. Appreciate the information.
You got it. Thanks for calling, Mark, and I'll talk to you later on. Call myself. All right, so small claims court. Good morning, my Uncle Jeff in Buffalo and Moses. Hope to see you tomorrow on the soccer field, Moses. Small claims court is geared for folks that don't want to use a lawyer, because you don't have to, and even companies. Remember, I mentioned just a few minutes ago that in the county division and the circuit civil division, a corporate defendant has to be represented by an attorney. Well, in the small claims division, it does not. The small claims court has its own set of rules. It's a simplified set of rules, which make it very easy to litigate in small claims court, because they're very self-explanatory, they're very basic. Now, cautionary tale. If an attorney gets involved in a small claims court, an attorney can file a motion to invoke the rules of civil procedure. And if the court grants that motion, which they typically will do if it's asked, then the whole onslaught of rules of civil procedure are going to come into play. And that's where, if you don't have legal training, if you've never taken a civil procedure course in law school, if you've never read the rules of civil procedure and put them into practice, then you're going to be at a disadvantage, because you can read the rule and you can think that you may understand the rule. But if you've never actually implemented the rule or seen the rule in practice and how it plays out, and the interplay between the rules and the case, then you're going to be at a disadvantage, and that's a simple fact. But again, small claims court being a jurisdiction where the courts are trying to level the playing field to those that don't want to hire an attorney, and sometimes it makes no sense to hire a lawyer, and I tell people that all the time, especially when these small amounts in dispute. You might be fighting over, I've talked to people that are fighting over like $250, $500. Now, you're not going to hire a lawyer for that, because a 1-hour consultation is going to be more than what you're fighting about. So that's the beauty of small claims court. It's there for you, and I recommend it a lot. And if you want to find out more about small claims court, the Florida court system has a webpage. And not only does the Florida court system have a webpage, but every county will very likely have some information about small claims court. And really, the most practical benefit of small claims court is that they have these fill-in-the-blank packets. If you go to the courthouse, I think they're open nowadays to get these packets, but if you have a dispute and you want to file the lawsuit, and you're scratching your head, geez, I've never filed a lawsuit, what do I do? You can go down to the courthouse and say, can I have a small claims packet? And they'll give you the packet, and all you have to do is fill in the blanks. You have to fill in the name, you have to fill in the amount, and it really is very simple. So if you have any questions about small claims court, let me know. But venue, if you're wondering where you file your small claims lawsuit, well, there is a rule. It's a small claims rule. It's Rule 7.060, and it tells you where you would file your lawsuit. Now, oftentimes it's kind of a no-brainer. You entered into a contract in Palm Beach County. The defendant lives, works, and breathes in Palm Beach County, didn't make payment in Palm Beach County, and your answer is obvious. You're going to file in Palm Beach County. Sometimes it's not that obvious. If you've got a defendant from out of state or out of the county, or and what exactly type of a case is it? Is it a breach of contract? Is it something else? A bad check. You want to sue somebody for a bad check? Then you've got to take into consideration. Look at the rule and read it. And if you have any questions, you can always ask me and say, Jeff, where do you think venue would lie? But you have to sue in the right place, because if you sue a defendant in the wrong place, your case is going to get kicked out. Good morning, Don. Nice to meet you in person finally on Tuesday. Don came to the seminar. It's nice to meet you. And Don's always asking, are you seeing what I'm typing? I see you this morning, Don. So, and thank you for the props on the seminar. We tried to put on a good seminar. I think the information that our presenters gave was really fantastic information. So, the seminar was kind of limited to the information that we were there to give, but I think those people that were there in attendance got something out of it. So we'll look to do another seminar in the future. And of course, just about everybody there got something of value, because not only were they getting valuable information, but we had a ton of giveaways, and it was fun. And I got a little bit of a discount from the hotel because of the fire alarms that were going off, which was very kind of them. The fire department surprised the hotel on the day of our seminar to say, we're going to do a surprise fire alarm inspection. And while my presenter was trying to give his first presentation, and presentations were limited to about 30 minutes, for about 20 minutes of his 30-minute presentation, the fire alarms were going off, which was very frustrating. I kept going downstairs to see what they would do about it, but they're like, our hands are tied. It's the fire department. It was just bad timing is what it was. So I want to talk about some of my cases in the Florida Law Weekly. But of course, I should remind everyone, if you want to call into the show like Mark did, you can dial 877-850-8585. That's a fantastic question that Mark asked, and that's a real life issue, and I'll try to help him deal with it. If you have real life issues and you want to talk to me, but you don't want to talk to me on the radio because maybe it's too personal, then use that number I gave out before to reach me on my cell phone. It's 833-VASTOLA, 833-827-8652. Happy to talk to you. No obligation to hire me. Mark is not going to hire me because I'm not the lawyer for him, but I'm going to give him a recommendation of somebody else to hire, and I'll just give you the best information I can. That's why I'm here. So, Sharina, how much time do we have left? The computer I'm working with, it's my time counter is
4
blocked
minutes.
out. 4 minutes. Sorry, I'm going to do this quickly. So, in the event that you are in a personal injury claim at the moment, and if you are in a divorce, or if you're contemplating divorce, then be aware, okay? A settlement, a personal injury settlement for an injury to the claimant is going to be deemed marital property unless you are very specific about the claim and what's stated in the settlement. So this is a case where the court is a couple that was getting divorced, and it was the man that had been hurt in the accident, and because the settlement wasn't properly delineated, instead of giving the money to the husband and then splitting marital assets, the court deemed the entire settlement that they received, the net proceeds of the settlement, to be marital funds, and so they had to split it. So I'm apologizing here because I'm trying to find the analysis. I grabbed the wrong one. I thought I was talking about a divorce personal injury settlement. This is the fraud on the court. No wonder why I can't find the language. If you're a plaintiff in a lawsuit and you're asked questions about whether you've ever been injured before in a case that's not the one you're filing, and you either lie or you don't remember that you've been injured before and you've had treatment before, and then the defense attorneys go out and find that you have been injured before and you've treated before, they will likely file a motion for fraud on the court. And those cases, those motions are granted a lot. So if you are a plaintiff, be very, very careful. Talk to your lawyer to say, hey, can you help me to make sure that, I'm not forgetting anything? Because the defense attorneys and the insurance companies that pay the fees and the costs to do these investigations are incredibly resourceful. And it's really not rocket science anymore. They use your social security number to look up all your health insurance claims, and there's no statute of limitations to how far back they can go. They can find a health insurance claim from 20 years ago. So you may genuinely have forgotten about it, but keep in mind that if you don't testify honestly in your deposition and they find out information that's contrary to what you've said, you can expect a motion for fraud on the court because the court doesn't tolerate that stuff. If you're going to be a plaintiff, you're going to file a lawsuit, you're going to put other people in financial jeopardy saying you need to pay me compensation, then you need to be honest about your claim. So just keep that in mind. All right, so I have some other cases that I was going to talk about. And I'm sorry about the divorce thing. Here's the gist of the divorce case and a personal injury claim. Make sure that the personal injury settlement release is very, very clear that the funds are for the pain and suffering claim of that specific individual. Because otherwise, if you're not specific about that, then it becomes marital property in some respect. So I've only got a minute left. I'm not going to have time to talk about these other cases, but I always find these very interesting. If anybody would like to talk to me about some of these cases, I don't know why you would, but feel free to call me. My number is 833-VASTOLA. That's 833-827-8652. Call me anytime you want. You can call me about any question you want. I just like to be a resource for everyone. I hope that everyone has a great weekend. Stay safe, and God bless. Thank you, Sharina, very much. You have a great weekend. Bye-bye.